Hey guys, how you doing? It's Brad from In the Studio with MJ. It's June 25th. It's a day that it's a hard day for a lot of people. Um, it's a day that I lost a friend 11 years ago. Guy by the name of Michael Jackson. He was a unique guy. Normally, on June 25th, I'd be in LA. And it's such a weird year because I'm not. I'm sitting in my music room in Orlando, Florida, and it's kind of weird. I'm being serious. Normally I do something called In the Studio with MJ. And it's this series of seminars. We've done over 200 events over the past 8+ years. And it's a gift that I never really could have expected happening to me. We've been to countries all over the world. I've met people all over the world. I've got friendships that I think are going to last a lifetime. From these events. I don't even like the word seminar because it sounds so serious. In the US, we talk about insurance seminars and timeshare seminars. And what we do together in a recording studio is fun. It's a celebration of Michael and Michael's music and the talented people that worked on it. So it's funny because it becomes very, I don't want to say all consuming, but you get wrapped up in it. And when I do the trips and I'm booking the studios and I'm lining up special guests and everything from hotels to transportation to tickets to it just goes on. And it gets to be a lot. And this year is different because we're home and you're probably home and I'm home. And I kind of miss the busyness of it. I miss figuring out traffic, through LA and timing what time I have to get to the studio and getting everything set up and who's going to be handling tickets and who's going to be handling security. And you just get into the groove, and I love the groove, but maybe I gloss over the day. And this year I can't do that. I actually have to stop. The world has stopped. And I have to remember. And I have to I guess commemorate, and there's no humor in that. But the world has forced all of us to slow down and stop for a minute. And so that's what I've been doing. So I've been doing some little hints for the past few days on Facebook and social media. We have been working on something that I think is really special. Over the next several days, I'm going to have a series of guys that worked with Michael, and I've told each of them, you get to talk about one song. And so it's been a series of Zoom calls that I'm doing, and I still have a few more to do. And I don't want to give too much away because I want them to tell their stories. But there's a couple things I want to touch on with my greeting for you today. Number one is gratitude and friendship. I've got, this is something that hardly any of you have seen. I keep a little photo album, and in this photo album it's just memories. it's Michael and me um, through the years. Um, I first I first met Michael. This is kind of funny. I mean, this goes way back, and I know you can't really see it that well, but I first met Michael in you know, time plays tricks on you, as you get a little bit older, but I think it was 1984. 1984, 1985 is when I moved to LA. And I think it was in early 1985. Deb and I got married, and I got a job at Westlake Studios. And that's where this picture is taken, is at Westlake. And I was there for just a few days, a few weeks. And who's working in Studio A, 8447 Beverly Boulevard, but Michael Jackson. And there he is. And I'd never seen Michael perform live. In fact, Deb and I actually tried to buy tickets. I believe it was the Victory Tour, and we weren't able to get tickets. But Michael was a superstar. And here I am in this little tiny building. And if you've ever been to Westlake Studio A, you know what I'm talking about. It's just not it's not a big palace of recording. It's a small, intimate little studio. It's a beautiful studio. But here's Michael Jackson. And I don't want to say that I'm starstruck, but I'm not going to lie. I mean, the first time you see Michael in person, it's a little, it's like, wow, that's Michael Jackson. And he's friendly, and we just kind of, we kind of, struck up this little friendship, and that's where it started. So that was Captain EO, and then the Bad album, and all of a sudden I'm driving back and forth to Havenhurst, and I'm picking up tapes, and I'm already friends with Matt Forger, but now I'm meeting Bruce Swedien and Quincy Jones and Rod Temperton, and they know me, and they kind of accept me. And before too long, I'm sitting in on the Bad album, and this whole journey begins. And I would have had no idea that it would have lasted for 18 years, 18, 19 years. I was in pretty close proximity to Michael in the studio at Neverland. I helped prep some of the tours. In fact, I pulled a picture out on the Bad album. Michael was going to go on tour, and I've put this on Facebook, so you may have seen it before, and I hope the glare isn't too bad. But he asked me to build him a music system for his hotel room. He wanted, and so in 1988, this was a pretty legit little system to be rolling into somebody's hotel room. But that's sort of where it started branched out a little bit, to where I was not only working with Michael in the studio, but he started trusting me with little side projects. And so I was doing, and that's when he purchased Neverland, was during the Bad album, Sycamore Valley Ranch. And so I would drive up to this Sycamore Valley Ranch, and he was starting to bring in amusement park rides and a train, and then a second train. And he's calling me. He's calling me on the phone, and I'm not a big shot. I'm not a big shot, but Michael's calling me at 2 a.m. sometimes, and Deb still laughs. We had a phone next to the bed, and with most people, if the phone rings at 2 a.m, it's probably going to be bad news. It's, could be an accident or something, a call you may not want to get. With us, it was a little bit of a joke between us. If the phone would ring at 2 a.m, it's probably Michael wanting, he's got an idea. And to be clear, Michael didn't call me with song ideas. That's more of a Brad Buxer kind of phone call. But with me, he loved my ideas at the ranch. And can we do this? Can we do this? Is this possible? Can we put, I don't just want music on a train. I want music that, that really hits. Hurt me, Brad, hurt me. So it'd be those kind of phone calls that I would get. And Deb would wake me up from a dead sleep, and, and Michael would be like, is Brad there? And I'd answer the phone. And, and then you got to be awake, man. You can't be like, oh man, you just woke, you'd be like, did I wake you? And it's like, no, of course not. I was just sitting here sketching out ideas for our next project together. So I don't know. I mean, I can't really take you through my whole photo album. I mean, that's kind of weird, but, then we had a baby. And, Amanda's born. And what am I going to do? Of course, I'm going to bring her to the studio. And Michael's going to come out and play with her. When we would have, here's our motley crew, that's me and Deb and Amanda and Bruce, and Michael. And when my girls were born, I've got 4 daughters, we'd get these huge gift baskets, and I'm not a Hollywood guy. I didn't grow up in that kind of environment. And here, these gigantic baskets would come from Michael Jackson for my girls. That's something you don't really forget. You have, Deb would have, her friends over from church, for play dates with the girls. And we had like a little white rocking chair that was part of Amanda's gift basket, a little wicker chair, I think it was. And you don't make a big deal out of it, but at the same time, it's cool. It's like, the king of pop took time out of his, I mean, he wasn't the one making the call, ordering a gift basket, but it meant a lot that he would have his office send a gift basket to us. So it's friendships that I never really expected to make. Over the course of those years, I got to work with people that maybe you're familiar with their names, maybe not. But people like Brad Buxer and Michael Boddicker and Bart Stevens and Bill Bottrell and obviously Bruce Swinton. And it's friendships that have lasted, since 1985, 1987, 1991. And that means a lot. There's no way, if you would have taken, the Brad Sundberg, I mean, some of these pictures are just embarrassing. And I know you can't see into my book, but, if you would have taken this guy, this skinny kid who had no business being in a recording studio, and said, this is what's in front of you for the next 20 years. And then after that, you're going to start a different journey, and you're going to make friends, literally true, sweet friends in Switzerland and in Germany and in Australia and in Japan and in Russia. And I get myself into trouble because I see all these faces, and I get myself into trouble because I'm afraid I might forget someone, and I don't mean to. People in Austria and in the UK and in France and in Spain. And forgive me if I don't mention your country. It's not intentional. Mexico, we've had fantastic experiences. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful to this guy. When I do my events, I don't spend a lot of time talking about his passing. We like to say that, we celebrate the work, we celebrate, his creativity and his life. And we do. He left a body of work that is really never going to be matched. When I was on the sessions, it's funny. I hope you can follow my train of thought for a second. When I was on the sessions, I was so busy, and we were trying things that had never been done before. Can you lock two digital machines together? Sure. Well, then let's do four. Can you lock two SSL consoles together? Well, it's never been done before. Well, let's figure it out. We were constantly, Michael wants new stuff. He wants new techniques. He wants to be ahead of everybody else. I mean, way ahead of them. And you get so entrenched in the work, and I love the work. So don't mishear what I'm saying. But you get so it's hard work and it's good work, and I love being challenged. I love when somebody says, "Hey, Brad, do you think it's possible that we can do this?" And I'm like, that gets me going in the morning. Let's figure it out. And I may have glossed over the depth of some of these songs. And again, don't mishear my words. But it's been years later, meeting a lot of the fans. There's a woman in Europe, and I'm so embarrassed because I'm going to forget her name. I can picture her, and you're just going to have to forgive me. But I think she went to 104 concerts, and she came to our event in Germany, at Dieter Dirk's place, and I can still picture it like it was yesterday. She sat on the floor, and please forgive me because I can see you, but I can't remember your name, and I'm really sorry. But she sat on the floor and she watched Brad Buxer play. I think it was "Stranger in Moscow," and she knew every hand motion. She was in a different place, and it may have been "Will You Be There?" It doesn't matter. Forgive me for not grasping every detail, but I watched her, and I saw the power of Michael's music through a different set of eyes. And it wasn't so much, can we make 4 tape machines lock together? What's the best microphone for this sound? It was very emotional, and it was at a depth that kind of a studio rat. You don't let yourself go there. We've got to be cool and just have a good joke at the ready. And those are the kind of things that I've learned. These songs have tremendous depth. I worked on the technical and the musical side of it, but not so much the heart. And it's as I've been doing these events, and I've had the honor of meeting so many of you, that you've exposed me to a different side of it. And in a weird way, it's kind of a parallel to 2020. Normally I'm doing the busyness of the seminars and the planning, and I've got to be done. There've been events where we've had to be done by like 8 at night so we can catch a ferry to get to the next city the next morning. And I actually thrive on the stress and the pressure of it just a little bit. I enjoy that. I love meeting people, doing a really good event, packing up and going and doing the next one. And this year I don't have that. And it breaks my heart. I so want to be in LA. I so want to be in Brussels in a couple months, and I can't. The world has just come to a stop, And so it's kind of made me refocus a little bit. And so I'm able to kind of catch my breath and actually think about where this whole thing came from, and not be so wrapped up in the busyness of the events, but rather what this music means to people and what this friendship meant to me. So all that said, over the past few days, I've been reconnecting with a lot of these guys, and we've had a chance, and there, I still have a few more interviews to do. So the plan is over the next 7 days, we're going to release one interview a day. I don't even like the word interview. It's a conversation. These are friends. An interview is kind of like, you have a tie on and that's not what this is. We're hoping to have 6 or 7 participants. I can't go into a lot of details, and I've told them just to talk about one song, and it's been really interesting, because it's one thing for, engineers and musicians can sometimes be, they have some of the coolest personalities you can imagine, but one of the hardest questions that people ask me is what was Michael Jackson like? What was it like to work with Michael Jackson? Because there's no simple answer, but to me, it's a lot more interesting to drill down into a song and say, here's a song that we worked on. Here's some cool things you may not know about that song. And it's a little bit easier to focus on one thing than it is a whole body of work. So that's what I'm trying to do. And I hope you're going to enjoy them. I think you're going to meet some people that maybe you haven't met before. If you've been to some of my seminars, you're probably going to see a few familiar faces. But there's one reoccurring theme that I want you to take away. And that is, we're all still friends. And these are guys that, like I said, in some instances I met Matt Forger, I think in late 1984. In fact, I was digging through my drawer back here. I'm sorry, I can't let you dig through it. But he was working on Captain EO back then. And I had barely been in a recording studio ever. And I'm cleaning the kitchen and there's no one there. It's the weirdest thing. When I was working at Westlake, there was just me kind of answering the phones and getting food. And there was a tech in the shop. Back then, I think it was Paul. And then there was Matt and Michael and Chris Carell was on the Synclav. And I know Michael Boddicker was kind of in and out. And I think Chris Carell came up with this silly song. It was about Star Trek. And he had sampled the phrase, Spock said a phrase, "My mother was a teacher." And he just kept playing. It was like this little drum beat. And it was, my mother was a teacher. My mother was a teacher. And I don't want to get myself into trouble, but I might, upload it one of these days. Just it's so dumb that I don't think anybody would care that it's online. But it was the coolest thing in the world. I'm in a room with Michael Jackson and Matt Forger and Chris Carell, and they're sampling this silly little "My mother was a teacher," and I was smitten. I was like, there's no place on the planet I would rather be right now than right in this room. And that's a really cool feeling. And I don't diminish how blessed I was to have been part of this journey. So there's no great, in conclusion, there's no notes here. It's me and a photo album. VIP passes to concerts. I mean, who am I? You know, Michael doesn't have to give me a VIP pass, but he did. You know, video shoots, you know, Too Bad, you know, yeah, Brad, I need you to help out on Too Bad. It's like, okay, sure, I'd love that. So I don't know, I guess in conclusion, I'm grateful. I'm very grateful for my friendship with Michael. Um, uh, I already said this once before. What's it like to work with Michael Jackson? You can't describe it because there's no one like Michael Jackson. It's a question without an answer. He was brilliant. He was a genius. He was generous. He was grateful. Um, he was creative, and he was funny, and it was just going to work was fun. I'm grateful for the friendships I've made, musicians and artists and engineers. There's a studio community. Michael Boddicker and I were talking about it. I'm kind of, you know, giving things away a little bit, but we were talking about just this evening in our call. And I try not to be one of those old guys in a rocking chair. Boy, back when we did it, you know, but we were there at a really cool time. And to be in a room with Quincy Jones and Rod Temperton and Bruce Swedien and Jerry Hay and Michael Jackson and Michael Boddicker, it's amazing. There's so much. It's like this creative nuclear bomb that's just it just wants to explode, and I got to be there for so much of that. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for those friendships, and then I'm grateful for you, the people that have supported my it's funny, I'm trying to get away from the word seminar, but it's just so natural. The people that have supported my events, you're not just people that buy tickets. And maybe this year that's coming more into focus than ever before. You're friends. And I've met so many people that I never in a million years would have met otherwise. And I'm grateful. I don't remember every name, and I proved that just a few minutes ago. But I do remember you. I do remember cities and shared meals and hugs and this COVID thing, you know, where we're supposed to stay 6 feet apart. That's very unnatural, not just for me, but for you also. I want to get back. I want to get back into the studio. I want to share these stories and hear yours. I love hearing your stories. People write me emails and letters about some pretty heavy stuff, and how Michael's music has gotten them through things. Obviously, the song "Will You Be There" has a pretty deep impact on a lot of people, and I miss it. So for the next week, you're going to meet some of my friends, and they're friends that I love, and I'm grateful to have them call me their friend. And they're going to tell you some stories, and I think and hope that you're going to enjoy it. I wanted to focus on the music, so that's what we've been cooking up these past couple weeks. And we've got some more edits, and there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes to make this happen. But I just wanted to take a few minutes and probably do something that I haven't done that well in the years past. And that is just take a moment and commemorate my friend, and so I miss him. I love him. He was a friend like no other. When the phone rings at 2 a.m. and you know that the king of pop. I mean, it's not a silly title because that's who he was. But when you know that Michael was a rock star, and it's kind of funny because he kind of went by the king of pop, but at the end of the day, he was a rock star. And when a rock star is calling your phone at 2 a.m, you wake up and you take that call. So I miss knowing that I'm not going to get a 2 a.m. phone call from Michael Jackson. But I cherish the fact that I did. And that's what I've got. So I hope you enjoy. I know today's a hard day for a lot of people. There's no part of me that's diminishing that at all. But I pray a blessing on you, and I hope you enjoy what we're putting together for you for these next few days. And I can't wait to see you again in the studio with MJ. So thank you for your time. Have a good day. Hug your family, hug your friends, and I can't wait to see you. All right. Take care. Be blessed.